Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Today's guest is Brett Brewer, President and member of the Board of Directors of Adknowledge, a leading online advertising technology firm. Brett is a former president and founder of Intermix Media and one of the critical brains behind the popular online networking site MySpace.com. In 2005, he sold Intermix to News Corp for a sum of $673 million. He is active in a number of community and charitable organizations, including Big Brothers of Los Angeles and BizWorld.org, a children's education organization. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, Brett Brewer.
Thank you.
Was MySpace a surprise for you guys, or was there some kind of secret sauce formula to come up with what websites were going to be launched?
Right. So it wasn't a surprise from the sense of that it got any sort of traction out of the gate. We had launched a bunch of sites and we put a lot of resources behind it. Chris DeWolf and Tom Anderson, who are on the cover of Fortune and they're actually still with Fox today, they were the guys that had the initial idea and launched the site. And really Tom Anderson was the brains behind the product of MySpace and which verticals to roll out next. So when we rolled out that site, they were extremely excited about the launch, and really as a company we were excited about the launch. The nice thing is, because we had had so much experience launching various internet sites, it didn't take months and months and months to figure out that there was a formula there that was working, right? So internet companies, content-based companies, pretty much are like television stations or newspapers in that they look at the number of people coming to their site, how many page views or how much time the people are spending on that site, and how often they're coming back to their site. So a typical internet content company, like an iVillage or a CNN.com or Fox News, is seeing a person once or twice a week, typically anywhere between 8 and 10 minutes. And I'm sure you see that in your regular internet lives. That's, you go to a site and then you look at it for a bit. Even from the first and second month at MySpace, we were seeing people come back to the site every day and spending more like 15, 18, 20 minutes on the site. So really right out of the gate, we said, wow, this is fascinating. People are really fascinated with returning to the site and seeing if people have commented on the picture they just put up, or seeing if someone's responded to a comment they had left on someone else's picture, or whatever the case may be. But it was a really interactive site. And of course the reason page views are so important is, to the publisher, page views are money. The more page views you have, basically you can put an ad on every page and you make more and more money. So even though the site initially was very tiny, obviously, and it was really launched from an internal office promotion where we just said we had about 200 employees at the time, that everyone come onto MySpace, invite as many friends as you can. The employee with the most friends in their network at the end of the month will win $200, second place $100, third place $50. And I think the winner had something like 88 or 90 friends in their network. And that just gave it a little bit of a poof, and started out with, next thing you know, we were at 2,000 users, 3,000 users, 4,000 users. But even though that was so early on, you could really see the metrics were there, that there was a formula that was going to work.
So MySpace is not the first, or was it the first in that space? That
no,
kind of
so
social
the first site in that space to make a lot of headway was called Friendster.
Right.
That company, the timing worked out well, and that Friendster was a little different in that Friendster was mostly focused on me going in and seeing Evan's contacts and saying, Evan, will you connect me? I see that you know Joe Smith, who's connected with the ABC Corp. Will you connect me with him? Mm-hmm. Right? And it worked very well from that perspective. It was really the first of its kind. The difference in that model is, of course, I don't need to go back to and check your contacts on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Right? It's more of a thing I do once a month or once every couple weeks at the most. MySpace, of course, is more about people's lives and about everything that's going on in their lives, and not only sharing that, but connecting with people all over the globe to share that. So consequently, users go back once or twice or 3 times a day.
So you guys were not the first mover in that area. What do you think was, the most important things, or maybe the milestones that took you to the top of that market?
Sure, that's a great question. So sometimes, in launching as many internet businesses as we have over the years, it's nice sometimes to be first, but in most ways on the internet it's actually fine to be second or third or fourth, because you have the advantage of obviously seeing what's working, seeing what's not working. And in the internet space, of course, because everyone, it's not like the offline world where if you get that best real estate spot on a specific corner, you've got an advantage for the next 50 years, right? In the internet, MySpace could be big tomorrow, and theoretically 5 years from now, another site could be big, because everyone has access to all sites. So consequently, being second or third is okay. And we really looked at it exactly like that. We saw that there was initial traction, there was clearly interest in this concept of social networking. But for the most part, the thing that users didn't like about Friendster was what I touched on earlier, which is I could only ask you to connect me with someone in your database, or I could only ask you to connect me with someone in your database. There's no way to actually search the entire database. So from the word go, when we launched it, and that's why we launched it with Tom Anderson being everybody's friend, because the key was that made one friend be shared between today 150, 160 million people. And the key, of course, then is that allows everyone to be searchable, and that allows me to find 7 people in Australia that are also interested in Metallica, or whatever the case may be, as opposed to the Friendster model where you could only search in a very defined database.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.